I'm either going to fall on my face or this is just going to be like,
but
I'm going to be flying through rainbows with Sally Hawkins.
Please, you're the rainbow. Actually, you're the pot of gold. You're the pot of gold. I'm the leprechaun.
The reason it was so emotional was because I got there and I was holding the weight of this movie and I was nervous and in a good way, but I was like, man, this is a lot. And then I saw you. And so I knew that like we hadn't rehearsed, we hadn't talked about anything really, like we had just met. And so it was like, I know that you know that weight. And I know that you, because you're here, I know that you know what this story is and how hard it is to hold and how massive it is. And so I saw you and I just felt like, oh, fuck. Like it got more emotional because I was like, I can't believe this because we're real friends. And that's what happens is like, if you see, it's like if you're holding yourself together and then like your mom hugs you, or if you're like holding yourself together and your friend goes like, hey dude, are you okay? And you're like, well, now I'm not. Do you know what I mean? And that's what makes you go. Yeah. And I also just thought you were so cool. You're incredibly cool. Like I walked into the room and I was like, I wonder if she's gonna think it's weird that I don't do the accent all the time. Like I was like, hey, what's up? I'm so happy you're here. Like I felt kind of like I had to be a leader on the set too. Like because I'm playing Princess Diana. So I was like, I guess I have an opportunity to sort of like take everyone in my arms. And you just went like, you're killing it. There's no one else that could do this. But and I was just like, you know, but like,
it's so true. It's so true. You are, just by the nature. I mean, it was so apparent to me. It's like, you are it. You're rocking it. You're like, you came in like this whirlwind. And it's like, wow, she's electric already.
I walked in with gusto. I wanted you to think that I wasn't like, I'm scared of this. I was like, hey, let's go. Yeah. And
and I was like, wow, yeah, let's go. But I loved it because William was there and you would sort of you had this scene and you were doing you kind of the lines and you couldn't. And I remember him sort of looking at me out the corner of his eye. The work you did together is just incredible. And
he's amazing. I want to work with him on stuff where I don't have an accent. He's just such a good, he's such a good coach. It's crazy. I've never done that before, but.
And your relationship is like, you're so fused together. It's like, oh, I want to work with William. And
it's fun.
And hearing you, it was like, oh, there is no one else who could do this.
Well, you have to tell yourself that, you know what I mean? And thank you for reinforcing that because there was no other way around. This one, you had to be like, yep. I think like I try to find signs and everything or whatever, but in this process, it's been like, people have a lot of questions about whether or not you like feel her spiritually around, like, did it feel haunted in a way? And there's like no way around it. Everything I saw, I'd go, that, because you just want it to be like, it was you find meaning in like every single little
I think that's
weird thing that happens.
Yeah, I think you need that actually. And I remember that very strongly. I thought sometimes it happens for some films. You think there's something going on, but there are signs and everything. And I think it's sort of a confirmation of that you're on the right track, whatever it means, it doesn't matter because it's magic for you. And I do believe in all that. I think,
and you're like, and actually I do. I specifically believe in that.
Yeah. But actually I do. No, but it's not. But it's nice. I mean, remember, now this is the day I'd wrapped the day before and I was having a meeting. And on an odd meeting, it was just a walk. I've never been to Kensington Palace Gardens. And then there was like, they're suggesting meeting there. I was like, really? Okay. I just got back from North and I came up the tube and I remember seeing Diana's Cafe. I was like, weird. Okay. Yeah. And then, I knew you were filming in London. And then we had a walk around, and we were walking past her fountain, and it was just, there was something quite odd about that. And seeing the entrance of the private entrance, I knew that's where she would go in to her quarters. And it was very strong. It was like, wow, you were still, and she was there. And it felt like a confirmation of an approval. So
yeah,
that's.
I took that same walk that spot where she would go in on the side. And,
did you?
yeah, it's such a fortress. It's so crazy. Actually, I was like, wow, it looks like it does look like a prison from the outside because of all the walls and all the security and everything.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. It was quite palpable from the day one. Actually, it's like there's something quite special, and that's you. That was you. So something special about her and this whole thing. And I think because it's a different take on her, when I got this, when I heard that there was another film about Diana, I was like, oh no, and then, but knowing that you were involved, well, always wanted to work with you. And so you think it's so, how smart you are. It's obviously very different and unique. And then when I read the script and met Pablo, and albeit by a computer screen, I thought, well, I have to do this. And it's completely different. It's her, and yet it's so your thing and your interpretation of this woman. So it's utterly unique in that, and yet telling a very well-known story. And that's what's so beautiful about it.
Well, I was thinking about this specifically because I'm now a part of a very large and very strange like pageant in which somebody's gonna win, like, and there's, it's just so weird I'm going to say something totally cliche that actors love to say because it's true, but it's like, you can't pin people against each other because everything's different. And that just in itself makes it makes no sense. Totally. But the reason, because I couldn't have done a good job on this. I only could have done my job on this. And like, I think the weird thing about Diana, and I think the reason it's getting so much attention, and I'm not being like falsely modest, this person is somebody who reflects, like, I think the reason everyone went so fucking mad for her was because everyone felt less alone with her immediately. You just go, oh my God, we're the same. And because no one's really that different. We are all the fucking same. Yeah, exactly. And it's humanity. Everyone's experience is different, and everyone's privilege is different, and everyone has a different way in, and everyone's portals are different. But at the same time, like, what makes us go is the same thing. It's the heartbeat thing. And like, that's her. She represents that like in the most base way. And I'm not really, I wouldn't say that that's like my immediate, it really influenced me. Like I felt the power and the love so hard on this movie. Like, I think I would like love to laugh hysterically with you all day, every day on any movie, but there was something happening that I was like, what is this beautiful thing where everyone loves each other this much? It's because she's so delicate and she's so sensitive, and I needed you, and you were so there for me. And the sense of relief that I have in your presence in general is just like so immense and so true. But like, it was miraculously full. It was weird.
Yeah, it was very full. And from day one, I was really worried about meeting you, because I knew it had to be special. And I think and everything you say, and you instantly fall in love with you. And you don't always get that. So I was worried because I thought, this is so important to get this little piece right. And the thing is about her and about your interpretation of her, it vibrates with that. And all her raw, like these raw nerve endings, that just like she's inside out. And you can't help but respond to that sort of open vulnerability, and yet this an incredible honesty. And sort of the way you played it, that sort of, she knows, she sees the truth and she says it as it is. And what's so good about, I think, probably Diana, that she shook up the system, and she needed to exist in a way to challenge that. She's like sort of a conduit for evolution in that way. It just sort of she was an icon before. She just had to be in a way, and that's what people responded to. And the aftermath, that sort of incredible outpouring of emotion from people for weeks, if not months. And I remember that so strongly. And that it was almost wailing. It's like this European way of expressing an emotion that before that, it's all sort of, very English way of that stiff upper lip. And she was the opposite of that. And that emotion in the film that you and Pablo sort of grabbed hold of is so visceral, so you can't help but respond to it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely, montage of the dancing and the it's so glorious. And with the music, it's just, it's very powerful. It's really beautiful.
We made this movie, and like people make shows and more movies and shows and like plays and shit because she passed away. And that is that is something I have like a really kind of hard time wrapping my head around, but like we need that again. It's like we do just want to go like, remember, let's recycle that. That's a really good time for that again. Like, it's true. When you say Diana, specifically you, it really does something to me. So specific. You're like, I guess Diana. I was like, because the way you say it in the movie is so specific, and it says so much more than just calling someone by their name. I mean, this is a movie about who she is. It's such a movie about identity, and just it's, when you say that, it's so much more than just knocking on someone's bathroom door. It's like, remind yourself. I feel like when Maggie says Diana, it's like, she's like, do I need to say this out loud for you so you can really hear it? Your name is Diana. You know what I mean? It's like, oh God.
Yeah. And it's also like that, especially at that moment, it's like an anchoring of your, of the soul in a way. It's like coming back to, you're not going to leave now.
Yeah.
Stay here. It's like a real, when friends can do that, when the power of love of just anchoring you straight back to the earth. And you're okay. You're okay.
I've only seen the movie like 3 times. I think I've seen the movie 3 times. The first time it wasn't even finished.
Wow.
But when I watch it, I'm like, Maggie's not there.
No, I don't know. I actually had that thought when we were filming. If she is, or that's not me to worry about. Because whatever she is, she needed her. Yeah.
The movie is also so much about like our experience is so contained in our own imaginations and sort of perceptions that it doesn't matter at all if she's but there are moments where, even though obviously there are a couple sort of apparitional moments that are really beautiful and very clearly unlucid, I still think there's just something like, you're an angel. Like she needs, whenever you go through anything about her, you're always like, where are her friends? Where is her sister? Where are the women in her life?
Yeah.
Where are her fellows? Like, this is crazy. And it's so, when I heard that you were doing the movie, because Pablo and I had been talking for a while, and he was like, you were it. There was no one else for us. And like, it was such relief when we found out that you were into it and that you liked it and that you were down to do it. And
of course.
No, but like, really, I mean, like, I can't make this more like, it's really a movie about one person, but like, to have you there, actually, it just made me so much more willing to go to places that hurt. And because I felt so bolstered by you, and it was fun to do. And it was like, oddly, it was just so cathartic and so cool.
That's lovely. Yeah.
And laughing with you is genuinely one of the most fun things I've done in my life. Like, we need to make something
straight back at you.
It's weird. Yeah.
It was really good fun. And I was just desperate to sort of, it was, you know, finding a friend. Like suddenly you're sort of in love. You do fall in love with people. You're like, I just want to be there on set and play more because, you know, I mean, you're sort of on the crest of a laugh or a wave. It's like a wave, and it's like to do with the excitement of, oh, this is really interesting and it's different each time. And oh gosh, I would, you know, I wish it was like that every time. And you're incredibly generous, but you are, I mean, that's lovely, and I'll hold that to my heart. Just lovely to hear. That running on the beach is really nice. It's just nice to be outside. And I'm saying all the obvious things. My God, shut me up.
No, going outside was like going outside was needed. Like, I couldn't believe it. I also couldn't believe what that place looked like. It's out of a storybook, and it just seems like I know that we were like, you know, presenting a very heightened and sort of hyper reality, but that looked like a cartoon. I was like, surely this isn't this, like, we should go somewhere more realistic.
Right, so
people won't believe this. No one's gonna feel bad for Diana anymore.
It's so needed at that point in the film to just go with the sky and that incredible beach that just goes on for miles. Yeah, it was much. And after the palace, I mean, that in those interiors so stifling. I found it kind of, after and being in Berlin as lockdown, it was weird, and it was kind of added to the whole surreal, very frightening kind of, even looking at it from the outside. Those incredible, the palace was just, we all needed Norfolk by then.
Yeah, badly. Yeah. Badly. It's funny because like we tell stories and stuff, and we like want to make sure that I always try to overlap my own life as much as I can with whatever you're doing. And like, I hate focusing on, I'm not a multitasker. Like, I really liked just becoming incredibly obsessed. And it's whenever people start talking about acting process, it just is semantics to me. It just sounds silly. It sounds like there's no way to really like describe like how you are or are not yourself, because that's absurd.
And it's sort of
such an experience. It happened. I felt like this happened to me, this movie, and that's rare.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I think that's a really good way to put it. And it's kind of how you want every experience like that because you have to just let it happen. And yet, there's so many
like you don't have to fabricate it.
No. And that's really hard to do because it's so many variables, and everyone wants to control it and control their little piece of it, and get obsessed and make it really, it becomes very serious. But at the end of the day, I think it's kind of rare though that just let it wash over you and respond to that in the moment. Is everything, is it exactly what you want? But you do, and you are. I think that about everything you do. I mean,
I just worked with an actor, and he was like, how many people have you worked with that like do what you do and like what I do? And it wasn't like self-gratified. It was honest. Like how you have one foot in and one foot out, but it's like half of like I can always get you, but then we're always in character. Like, it's like, but we can always look at each other and go, we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I was like, I mean, to be honest, most people fake it. And I was like, let me see Sally fucking Hawkins. I was like that. Literally, I was like, you have no idea. And he had just seen Spencer, and he was like, of course, but it's so rare to be able to really look at someone and be like, no, we are here. There's no way to describe it either.
I
but
do
it
know
is
exactly.
a thing.
It's interesting that's so odd, because I was thinking about for this, about you and why, and it's exactly that. It's exactly what you described. I thought, well, I just felt a kindred spirit, and I thought, oh, I'm okay because we think the same and we work the same. And that's rare. It's sort of like, I knew instantly.
The moment where Diana steps out of the car and grabs the yellow dress and walks off. Yeah. It's our last moment together. And the movie never steps out of Diana's perspective. It's so unwaveringly committed. He never got distracted. And I'm so impressed with that in terms of him really just going like, because there's a lot to look at. And he was like, no, we look through your eyes only.
Yeah.
But when it stayed in the car with Sally, the camera stayed in the car. And it's weird because I go and the whole time you're like, wait, I'm with her. Like, what are we doing? And it stays with you. And it's like, I just love that moment so much. There's such relief, but such sort of the processing that's happening and the sort of, that's a moment in life that's a moment in life you make a movie about.